Welcome to Proline TV for a Saturday morning as we get you ready for Week 18 in the NFL and another Saturday. That's right, because we have Saturday action coming up, a couple of big AFC North games. I guess they're big. And also, of course, a full slate of games on Sunday. No more Monday night. And then next Saturday, we begin the playoffs. Don't forget, Monday is big for 18, potentially up to 18 fan bases, the ones that are not in the postseason, because they are going to be paying attention to Black Monday and coaching changes, general manager changes. There's going to be a lot of news going on early this week coming up. We talked a lot about that on the Playbook ATS podcast. That's available, of course, right here on Proline TV. So we'll have a link in the description for that if you want to find out more about what we thought the changes would look like. So you can check it out. And of course, we also went over some of our picks, even though, Jim, we didn't really have a lot to go on with picks this week because this is just a really tough week to handicap games.
Yeah, in the preseason, they might have 100 players. And when they're sitting other players, there's a lot of guys they'll put in. You never even heard their name, and you'll never hear from them again. But in this scenario, you only got 50-some players, and they're going to have to play good players, and if they're out there, they're going to play. And it's a tough game. It's a tough league at this point. This game, this week.
I mean, Baltimore's a 20-point favorite. 20.
Well, and they should be. First of all, Cleveland even at full strength is garbage. And
well,
the thing is, they still have to keep Deshaun Watson, a guy that hasn't played a damn good game, or maybe one in 5 years. But because of you got to give Haslam credit. He's willing to spend money, but boy, he knows how to spend it the wrong way. It handcuffed that team, destroyed that team with that crazy contract.
Well, but the contract, it's over. I mean, it's over, and now you got to restart.
No, they just re-signed him.
But that's why they did it. They did it to make it a lot easier so they could spend money. But they don't forget, this is the first time in 5 years they have a first-round pick, so they're going to get their first-round draft picks back. They got more money to spend than they've had before. So there's really this is it. There's no more excuses for Cleveland starting this offseason. Yeah, they have every team has a bad contract, but look, you're right. Deshaun Watson's going to be on the sidelines for Cleveland for the next couple of years, possibly, but he ain't playing.
They have one more excuse. They have another excuse. They're in Cleveland. That's the excuse.
Okay. Well, that's what Detroit fans felt for a long time, and look at them. So anything's possible. The other game tonight is the biggest one. And that's the most impact, and that's Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. And it's amazing how much money gets keep being played, I guess, on the Bengals, because that line is almost at 3 now. And it's not like Pittsburgh's resting everybody. Pittsburgh, I don't see anything anywhere that tells me that Pittsburgh is resting anyone of consequence. And yet, it's like everybody's got money on Pittsburgh and the Bengals, which, again, I get it why they're doing it, but at 3 almost, that's again out of hand almost. I don't know what's going on there.
It's the one team that's in and the other team that's trying to get in. And what people forget, even if Cincinnati wins, they need a lot of help from other teams to get in. And Pittsburgh, to me, I look at it totally differently, I guess, than anybody else is looking at it. If I'm Pittsburgh, I don't want to go to Baltimore. I'm sorry, I don't want to go there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You would think that.
But I'm much happier. Send me to Houston. If I have to win a road game, I'd rather go to Houston and try to win it.
That you would believe should be the focus of the players, but I guess we'll find out tonight.
And the other thing is, Tomlin is pissed. They've lost 3 games in a row, and they've looked like crap doing it.
Yeah.
And
they got to get some positive momentum going into the postseason.
Definitely not the standard of play that Tomlin is used to or accepting of, and the players are coming to play. And I'm sorry, other than the fact that you got Burrow and Chase and Higgins, who probably aren't going to all be there next year anyway because of their issues.
Oh, Burrow's going to be there. Chase is going to be there, but Higgins won't.
Yeah,
Burrow's got a contract.
Well,
He ain't going nowhere.
and
Chase, that's going to be the interesting one. But I wouldn't be surprised if they franchise Chase. So I don't think Chase is going anywhere either.
well, that isn't going to make Chase very happy.
Well, that's just the way it is. That's the game.
You got a lot of unhappy players. They're not going to perform. And the defense, what are they going to do about that?
That's the big question. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So, I mean, I'm
well, who do you like? That means you like Cincinnati, Pittsburgh in the game?
Oh, hell yes, I do. Yes.
Do you like the total as well, or just Pittsburgh? Keep in mind, Chase Brown also may not play for Cincinnati.
It's early in the morning, and I haven't checked the weather. What's the weather in Pittsburgh at the moment? I have not checked it this morning yet. That's a later game. I haven't checked it. The weather in Pittsburgh can be pretty nasty, and I think we're going to get wind. And if we get wind, you get into a running game, slowing it down. It's hard to bet. It's hard to bet Cincinnati under, but I do not have the weather up on my screen right now. So,
all right, right now the weather is going to be very cold. It's going to be 20 degrees with a 12-mile-an-hour wind chill.
And how about the gusts?
No, 12 mile an hour. So the gusts. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't show that here. So, but it's going to be freaking cold and windy enough. So, I mean, it's not the Dolphins, but it's still going to be tough to play football in this weather. And this is why you have to have a good defense in the Northeast. You have to play good defense because when the weather gets cold.
Well, the one thing Cincinnati does not have is a good defense.
No, they don't. So there you go. All right. Sunday, there are several important games. Tampa Bay is one of the most important games at 1:00.
They will destroy the Saints.
All right.
The only thing matters in that game, what Burrow said. I mean, Evans has a big bonus situation. If he gets a certain number of yardage, he gets a $3 million bonus. And Mayfield said, if we're winning, he's getting his yards. Exactly. And I'm a big Mayfield fan.
Sure.
I love the way he's playing. I love the way he's leading this team.
You believe he didn't even make the Pro Bowl?
If he doesn't, it's
no,
crime.
He didn't.
Oh, he didn't. Oh my God.
Do you know who beat him out? Do you know who the three quarterbacks for the NFC are? And they're not bad quarterbacks, but they beat him out. Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, the rookie, and who's the third one? I got to get the third one in my head. Because those were the two that I was really like, no way should Baker Mayfield be behind Sam Darnold and especially Jaden Daniels. I mean, we have touted Jaden Daniels more than anybody, especially over at our lads, but he should not be a Pro Bowl quarterback over Baker Mayfield.
Well, it's all Paul. That's why I don't get involved in those.
Oh, Jared Goff. Jared Goff's the other one.
Well, I can't knock any of those players. It's a lot of good NFC quarterbacks.
Yeah, but do you know who the AFC guys are when you compare them? Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. When you put them on the same, you're going, whoop. And then as good as the NFC quarterbacks are, it's like you're not Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. And Patrick Mahomes did not even make it. Imagine that.
Well, that's why these awards and who votes for them, excuse me if I'm insulting anyone, they're all full of shit.
All right, so who would you put in? Who would you knock out if you put in Patrick Mahomes? Would you knock out Burrow, Allen, or Jackson? I know who I would knock out, but.
Well, first of all, I guess in that respect, Mahomes has not had a great year compared.
He hasn't.
So I mean, I don't fault that one as much as I do on the other side.
The other side is terrible.
Baker Mayfield, if you're talking about an MVP, a guy that if he was removed from the team would go from 9 wins to 3 wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're lucky.
Baker Mayfield he's adding like 6 or 7 wins to the team just by himself, the way he's playing. So no, it's bullshit. So anyway, that's another story.
So it's a 14-point spread, and you think that'll be no problem to cover?
Well, first of all, yeah, it's anytime you're laying double digits, they could get up 28-0 and then back off. That's possible too. So no, I don't play these kind of games because these inflated numbers, traditionally inflated numbers like this, do not cover the spreads. Doesn't mean they lose, but they won't. So the team that's getting the extra value in the number, and it's all about numbers. We are playing, this isn't money line stuff. So yeah, the right side of the game is the Saints because of the number. It's inflated. And when something's inflated, it means you're paying an extra tax. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is probably Tampa Bay in the first half would be the better bet. But after that, Baker Mayfield is going to do everything he can to get Evans that money. He's going to do everything he can to get him that $3 million. Yeah.
I'm going to take a look at my sports book and see what their odds are. And that one, by the way, is that on yards or touchdowns?
It's yards.
Yards, okay. Because there were I believe three games that are the most, or 3 players that are the most interesting to keep an eye on with the contracts. Evans is one of them.
One has to be Geno.
Geno is the other, and then I think Pollard for Tennessee, the running back, because he needs.
I think Surtain gets $500,000 for over 60 yards.
Who's that?
Surtain?
No, Surtain. Who's that?
There's someone else out there. I can't.
Well, Pollard has to get over 75.
I mean, these bonus numbers, and it's hard to find who has these bonuses going on. It's not as easy to find, although if you do enough searching, you can find it. But it matters. It matters because the relationship between the guy that's trying to get the money and whether the coach sits him or the quarterback doesn't throw him the ball. I mean, it's a big problem for the locker room if they don't make it because somebody ignored them. And this is important for the chemistry of the team.
Okay, let's see. For Tampa Bay receiving props, yeah, you see they're not giving the Mike Evans yards.
No, it's not on a lot of these sites don't have it. You really got it.
Well, they're giving them receptions and they're giving them longest reception and they're giving a couple of other players yards, but they won't give Mike Evans yards. And they must probably doing it for that reason. I have to check the other ones. I'm going to check Geno out in a minute, and I'm going to check out Pollard.
Geno has three different things, $2 million each. There's 3 different bonuses he can get, adding up to $6 million. That's a lot of money.
Yes. That's why I'm going to try to see if I'm going to try to see with because they do have some here, some Geno.
Where are you looking?
On my sports book at Bovada.
Okay.
Let's see, contract bonus. Let's see if I can find out which are the ones that Geno needs. Let's see. Here it is. Geno Smith can earn $6 million in bonuses in Week 18. All right, let's see what they are. 10th win of the season, so just a win. Okay, so if you want to bet the money line on Seattle, which is probably not a bad idea because Seattle looks like they're playing everybody and the Rams are sitting everybody. And that's only a 6.5-point line.
Well, yeah, and it opened 3. I bet it at Seattle -3. Look where it is now.
He needs 186 passing yards. So let me see if they've got passing yards.
He'll get that.
Passing props. Let's see if they have completions, attempts, interceptions, completions. Nope, they're not. See, they're being smart. They're not giving it. They're giving Garoppolo passing yards, but they're not giving Geno Smith passing yards. They don't want to lose the money. And his season completion rate needs to be at 69.7, which means that for the moment it's 70.2. Let me see if they have a completion percentage. I don't see the total completions, but that's not really going to work. So yeah, they don't have it in here. They're at least this sports book is saying, no, you're not going to take advantage of us with these bonuses. So anyway, maybe you could find it. It's only one book. There's 100 books out there. You can try to find one, and you can go to MGM. Even the Vegas books might give it to you. I'm sure they give it to you. They give you anything. So keep in mind for the Saints, no Kamara, no Miller. So they're down to their third and fourth string running backs as well. Rattler will get the start. Still no Antoine Winfield for the Bucs. He better be back next week if the Bucs win, because they cannot advance in the postseason without Antoine Winfield. Okay.
And they're going to have a tough matchup if they have to face Detroit or Minnesota.
Yes, absolutely. Carolina, Atlanta. So if Tampa Bay somehow loses, and the Atlanta-Carolina game is also at 1 o'clock, Atlanta is in if they win. And for Carolina, no J.C. Horn.
Atlanta's not in if they win.
No, if Tampa Bay loses, Atlanta's in if they win.
That's not going to happen.
Well, yeah. So, but no J.C. Horn for Carolina. So that should make life a little easier for Atlanta and the young rookie quarterback. The line is, I believe, 7.5.
7.5, 48.5, and that game will go over.
Okay, it's right now at 47.5. You said okay. So you think that'll be an over?
No,
okay,
it's 40. It's 48.5.
Okay. Washington and Dallas. Washington. This is about seeding, and Washington is a 4. What are they? A 4.5? What's the line on that one? 6.5 now. So it's up to 6.5, and still no CeeDee Lamb, of course. No Marshawn Lattimore for Washington. He's been a big addition to that secondary for Washington. He's out, but that shouldn't be a big deal. What do you think about that one?
Well, that's hard because, you got the issues going on with Dallas. I don't know how to read the issues with that. Nobody can predict what Jerry Jones is going to do with head coach and stuff like that. But I'd probably play Washington. I would not lay the points at all. No, maybe in a teaser. This is not a week for me to get too far out.
Don't spend your money this week. No, not big money. I'm telling the audience, don't be spending big money this week.
There's 80% of the games I don't even look at.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Washington, if they win, they will play the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. If they lose, then the door opens for the Packers, and the Packers are playing their game against who are they playing? Packers. Oh, Bears. Also at 1 o'clock. And so if Washington loses and the Packers win, then the Packers will play the Rams. So that line is at 10 now, I believe, Green Bay.
I wouldn't want to be the Rams because they are not playing well. I know they're resting players. You got the old quarterback. Their defense has been playing better, but their offense has not produced in weeks. They're simply not sharp right now.
And then and there's a few games that don't matter at all. We won't talk about the 4 o'clock games. So again, a lot could happen depending on what happens Saturday and 1 o'clock. For the Bengals' sake, if they win, then of course they need Miami to lose and Denver to lose. Now Miami will be without Tua again, so Huntley will be starting. And we don't know if Tyreek Hill's going to play or Armstead or Campbell. So Miami is kind of limping into that one. And this, the thing to keep in mind, this could be, and Aaron Rodgers understands this, it could be his final game. And I think that matters. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to end his career in a stinker. So just keep that in mind. I think that he'll be pumped to have a good game, which means, Devontae Adams will be pumped to play well for him. So just keep that in mind. And again, this is a rivalry anyway. If the Jets feel like they have a chance to knock Miami into the playoffs, they're going to do that. Denver, meanwhile, They're the big ones. They're the big favorites over Kansas City, and everybody, we all talked about this even last week. So the line is huge.
There's the right side of the game is Kansas City.
Yeah, it's what 10.5, I believe.
That. Here's a game that if everybody was healthy, Kansas City would be 4.
Yeah,
you got a 15-point move in this game. Come on, you talking about playing numbers? You got to bet Kansas City.
The same coaches, same great coaching staff.
Come on, you're not going. You don't think Wentz? You think Wentz isn't going out there to try to audition for a job?
Damn right he is.
I mean, and they got to play a lot of other players. They can't sit everybody. Yeah. You only got 50-some players on the squad. You got to play somebody.
Yep, they can sit about 8 or 10 stars. But everybody else has to play.
You got to remember, this is not preseason when they got 105 guys on that you can throw in there that nobody will ever hear from, never heard of before. Come on, this is different. This is ridiculous. This line is totally out of whack.
Yep. And again, Denver is going to be under an enormous amount of pressure. So, they're a huge favorite playing backups. And if something happens where it's close at halftime, then the pressure is going to be on them in the second half. They've got a rookie quarterback. We know he's had a good season, but he's kind of struggled lately. And it should be interesting. That's all I can say. Hey, look, I hope Carson Wentz has a good game, even if Denver wins, because I'm an NFL fan, and it's important that quarterbacks that are still in the prime of their careers can resurrect their careers like Sam Darnold, because we need better quarterback play in this league. So I certainly hope Carson Wentz goes out there
you're not going to draft them because there's nothing coming out of the draft.
Yeah, you got 2 chances, and both guys are still. You don't know if they're really capable. They'll be gone early, and then that's it. And that in the last several years, you've had a lot bigger pool of quarterbacks to choose from, but not this year. You're only going to have 2, and both of them would probably be late first-round draft picks in last year's draft. But this year, they're going to be top 5 picks. Okay. So Chargers, if this scenario is important because of Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh loses, then the Chargers get the opportunity to win and play Houston, avoid Baltimore. So this is going to be important. What do you think about it if Pittsburgh loses, Jim? Because the spread is 4.5 right now. How would you do this? Let's say you're somebody who believes that the Bengals, let's say you like the Bengals. You're somebody out there, you're going to pick the Bengals. Do you do like a parlay or something and say, if I'm going to pick the Bengals, maybe I should pick the Chargers as well, because that means.
But here's the situation. I mean, you can play it now, or you can just wait to see the game. What happens today with the game, and then make a move.
Well, but then the line is going to change. Won't the line change?
I'll tell you what, if Pittsburgh wins, put your money on the Raiders.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then the Chargers are going to rest players.
As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind betting the Raiders right now. They're playing great. And they're playing hard for whatever reason.
They're beat 2 really bad teams.
I understand, but they're trying. Right now,
the Chargers just beat the hell out of New England last week. That was pretty impressive.
Right, that's true.
But look, let's go on the opposite side, though.
On the other side,
Pittsburgh,
on the other side, New England is also number 1 to get the draft choice, right?
Yeah, well, again, but the players aren't. They weren't tanking. So let's say, let's go to your side. If you think Pittsburgh's going to win, then should you be jumping all over Las Vegas right now, right? Because the line's going to change if Pittsburgh wins. Then I wouldn't even be surprised if Vegas turns up as the favorite if the Chargers if Pittsburgh wins.
True. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's what if you really want to get involved in this game, you should probably bet it now.
Okay, but again, you're banking on you better be right with the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. Because you could always go back, obviously, right? If you're wrong, you can you hedge back the other way if you're wrong?
Yeah, you can take favorites and dogs. You can play both sides of the game under different situations.
All right. So that's what's coming up. And then again, the Seattle game, I think that's actually, the more I think about it, that Seattle game is probably a good one to play. It's a 7-point spread. The Rams will be starting Jimmy Garoppolo and a bunch of backups. So Blake Corum will play. He's a good player. The key is, though, no Nakua, no Cup. So you're going to have, the wide receivers are not all that great. And you get your backup quarterback. And I like Corum.
And Seattle's coming out there. They're going to throw the ball all over the lot because of Geno.
Yeah. And yes, they're going to throw the ball. And they're also, keep in mind, though, that he has the completion percentage contract. So he can't get too crazy with the passes.
All you got to do is a bunch of 5-yard passes.
Yes, little dink and dunks.
Yeah.
And he wants to win. He wants that 10th win. So he wants to win. But again, that doesn't mean you can cover. So just keep that in mind. I still think 7's not bad with the Rams playing a lot of backups and Seattle playing no backups, as far as I could tell.
And the Rams could easily be shut out in the game. You might win the game. You might win the game 7-0 and cover.
Minnesota. So you're going with the under in that one?
I would.
Okay. Minnesota and Detroit. This is the one where we know for sure that even though both teams are in the playoffs, they are going to be playing for a number 1 seed. It's very rare that we get the situation. It's very rare that we get two teams with as many wins as these two teams have at this stage in the season playing each other. So it's a nice little treat. It's on Sunday night, and Detroit is about a 3. I have Detroit actually on my sports book as a 3. I think I have Minnesota. What is it? Minnesota +3 minus 125. Yeah. I had.
Yeah, it definitely is +3 in most places. There's a couple 2.5s out there. We got Bet Rivers and Sugar House and FanDuel all at 2.5. Yeah.
Well, I look. I know we talked about this on the other show. You like the over in this one.
Yeah, the problem with this is, and I'll be honest with everybody, the game came out 51.5, and I missed it. I didn't get it. But then it went to 52.5, and I did get it. So I ended up playing the game over 52.5, and then it shot all the way up to 58.5. And then it backed off. And
why did it do that?
Because there's no defense on one side.
No, but why do you think? I mean, everybody knew that already. Why did it?
Well, the odds maker made a bad line.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they are human. They made a bad line.
Okay.
And everybody knew Minnesota's going to be able to score because Detroit can't stop anybody. Yeah. But Detroit also knows that they cannot win the game on defense, so they have to score every time. So that's what they're going to. The focus for Detroit is we've got to win this game with offense because our defense is hurting. And they know that. And they're going out there. They're going to try to get their 30 points. And I I know that they're going to get blitzed all day long because that's what Minnesota does. But the last time they played, Goff handled the blitz very well. And they get good protection because Detroit has a great offensive line. But it's week 18. There's injuries out there, but I tell you what, these are two really good teams. Either one of these teams could win the Super Bowl. These are two good teams.
Yeah, this is the first time that I can recall, dating back to I don't know when last year, that I actually am going against Detroit. So it's either going to bite me in the ass or
that makes Detroit a lock. If you're betting the other side, it makes Detroit a lock.
Well, it's either that or it's one of those things where, no matter when I bet their game, it comes through for me pretty well. So I'll find out on Sunday night. But I just a couple of reasons why. Look, I think it's so tough for two really good teams to be, one of them to be swept in the season, in a series. That's number one. Number two, you talked about Detroit's injuries on defense. Well, Minnesota doesn't have issues. Minnesota's got their offense, they've got their defense, Detroit's got their offense, but they don't have their defense. So Minnesota's got an advantage.
No question. Minnesota's the healthier team. There's no question.
So I have to go that route. Now, look, if Minnesota had beaten Detroit earlier this year, I would be going with Detroit. I just think, or I would stay away. But
now you never hear me talking about this, but I want to bring up another subject. College football playoffs. Okay, what have you seen? I mean, I know you are really into college. I mean, you know as much about college as anybody. What do you think of what we just saw? And what do you think about going forward?
I feel really good about what's going forward because I have been telling everybody all season long that the SEC is overrated, and everybody saw it on national TV just a few days ago how overrated they are. Keep in mind, Texas is a one-year SEC team, so they're basically an SEC team, but they're kind of still like a Big 12 team. So the SEC, but the point is that now you got the Ohio State Buckeyes that are finally living up to what everybody thought that they were going to be when the season began. They have all the talent in the world, and they're playing up to it. And here's the Texas Longhorns on one of the most overrated teams in all of college football this year. Finally, they can start to play good teams, and look what happens. They barely won. They shouldn't have won. They should have lost. And now they're playing Ohio State. And I don't care. And I understand this will be a debate that me and Mark can even have, because Mark had a very interesting take on it, which I think makes a lot of sense from a gambler's perspective. He put it on the Coffee Club email today. And he talked about the line change. And he talked about how, let's see where I have it right here. Okay, here it is. And I just screwed it up. All right, here it is. So Proline, I've got my Proline thing in here. There it is. Oh, that's the stat of the day. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Let's go to the other one. All right, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ohio State just threw a no-hitter, winning the game they wanted more than any other. Texas looked like it had 14 Stoochers burst open and scraping past a team they were comfortably in control of and then nearly let get away in the end. The public saw it, the lines maker saw it, and the price of this game has been adjusted accordingly in a major overreaction. This will be the first time Texas will be a dog in its last 28 games, when they last took 7 against Alabama and beat the Tide 34-24. It will also be only the second time they will take points in the last 4 games, when they also covered against Bama in a 1-point loss as a 21-point home dog. Texas looked like it had 14 Stooges burst open and scraping past the team they were comfortably in command of, and then nearly let the game get away in the end. I don't know why they put that in there twice. I guess it's a typo. To use an old dude phrase, sheesh, have a great weekend. So I guess where Mark is coming from is, again, the gambler's perspective of the line must have been really short, because I didn't know what the line was. I guess it must have been 2 or something a week ago. Like if Ohio State plays Texas kind of a roll, but now it ballooned up to 6. So a lot of gamblers would say, like you've said many times, Jim, well, I'm taking the 6 then because it should be 2. They're going to blow them out. Okay. There is no way this game is close in the fourth quarter. No freaking way. So I don't care about what the line was and what it is. And I don't care, my personal opinion, I don't care about the fact that the Texas Longhorns have not been a dog in 40 games. They haven't played anybody in 40 games. So this is the team that they're going to play. That is the best team that they have played in years. And I see no reason to believe that Ohio State is going to keep doing what they're doing. And not an SEC team, and not this team that should have lost to Arizona State the other day. That's what I have to.
Now the line's now down to 5.5.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I can kind of wait. I was thinking the line actually might shoot up even further high.
I did too when it first came out, that people were heading in that direction. But now we're seeing some money coming back. I mean, it's all about numbers. They're going to take this game and say, okay, Ohio State can't play that well all the time, and Texas is a quality team with quality athletes, and yeah.
Yeah, I right now there is no way. It's sort of like I feel about Ohio State right now the way I would feel about Kansas City in the NFL. It's like, there is no way I'm going against them. There's just no way. I've been down this road before many years in my life where I'm going to do the dog. And because I am still a dog guy. I love the dog. And Mark knows I love the dog more than probably anybody out there. I love betting the dogs. I love the double-digit outright upsets and all that kind of stuff. You can get paid off really well. But when I see a really good team in front of me, I have learned over the years, you ride them. You go with them. And I'm going to go with them. I liked them against Tennessee. I went against them at Oregon, even though I kind of felt that was a 51-49% feeling, because I saw what happened in Ohio State in the Tennessee game. I was a realist. But I just felt Oregon was not going to come out as flat as they did. And nobody believes what Oregon did in that game. It was embarrassing.
Their offensive play calling was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I would have fired the coach before he got on the bus. It was horrible. I mean, I had the right side. Believe me, I was happy about that.
Yeah.
I had the right side. I had the right total, everything. But I'm watching this game and I'm saying, what the hell is he doing? I mean, you're down 30
bad.
And you're running into the line on play 1, play 2. What are you doing? How are you going to win this game? You got to get aggressive. And he was just absolutely moronic.
And in the other game, Notre Dame is, I believe, a 2-point favorite against Penn State. Now, look, if Abdul Carter plays for Penn State, and I can't bet this game until I know if Abdul Carter is going to play. It is such a big deal. So, I mean, he's a top 5 draft pick. He's the top edge rusher in the draft. He's one of the top players coming out. He might even be the number 1 pick in the draft. It's possible. He could be the Patriots pick if the Patriots have the number 1 pick. So that's how big this injury is. But if he plays, I am definitely on Penn State's side. I mean, I'm sorry, but you saw the Notre Dame-Georgia game. I mean, Notre Dame, if it wasn't for that stupid decision by the head coach, which I loved, to try and throw the ball when they've got 3 points in the first half with 35 seconds left, dumb. Just run the clock out, go in halftime, and come back. But
you also had that one. You also had that one penalty by the sideline.
Yeah, that was dumb.
I mean, that was a game changer because it changed all the momentum.
So, so they go ahead and do that, and Notre Dame gets the touchdown. Then they get the second half kickoff, returned for the touchdown. So a 6-3 game is a 20-3 game in 45 seconds of the game.
It changed all within a minute.
So Notre Dame didn't have to do anything else, but they weren't doing anything anyway. So I'm sorry, Penn State has a defense just like Georgia, but Penn State's got an offense. Penn State can move the football. They're not going to be struggling out there to find a way to move the ball against Notre Dame like Georgia was with a freshman quarterback. So I'm very surprised that Penn State is the underdog in this game. Again, but the Abdul Carter injury is going to be the big one to keep an eye on.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Ohio State and Penn State. I'm going with an all Big Ten championship game.
I'm glad we touched on these because, with the limitations we have in the NFL this week, which ramps up big time next week with the playoffs. But these are 2 big games, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I really like the fact that we have 12 teams and so much more to talk about, so many more fan bases to be involved. It's very exciting.
And to think that, Penn State would have still got in if it was only 4 teams, but Ohio State would not have. Keep that in mind. They would not have made the playoffs in a 4-team. Penn State would have because they were ranked in the top 4. Texas would have. And Notre Dame, I don't know if Notre Dame would have, to tell you the truth. They might have been 5 Notre Dame. So I'm not sure if half of the teams in the semifinals would be there or not.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? By expanding to 12 teams, you get 2 teams in that would not have been in maybe
possibly.
The champion.
Yes, definitely Ohio State. And Ohio State could win the national championship, and they wouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
But that's the point of that is that this is why it should have been 12 all along. Because even in the NFL, you go through cycles sometimes. I remember about 15 years ago, before we had the Chiefs.
I'm going to paraphrase an Einstein quote, and I may get this wrong, but he said there's 2 absolutes in this world: the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not too sure about the universe.
I hear it. I hear him loud and clearly. Matter of fact, you want to see a really good biopic, I guess. There was a really good one that came out. I think it's on one of the streaming services, Netflix maybe, or Prime Video, and it was on Einstein, and it was really done well. It was like a little mini series, like about 6 or 8 videos, and it showed him when he was a kid, showed him when he was going to school, and all the things that happened to him. It was very well done. If you're into Einstein, it was like the best Einstein series that you're ever going to see out there. So you should check that out. Anybody?
I like watching those kind of things about just about everybody, because so many people have so many interesting lives and we don't know where they came from and what they did to get there and all that. It's I did a show yesterday with Scott Pritchard, and we're going to try to get it up on the site if we can get the link. But it was really good. And he asked me a question about what is the one thing you learned. Now, I read a lot of quotes. I used to do a lot of motivational talks back when I was young, and I still am into a lot of the motivational stuff with Tony Robbins and Dale Carnegie and, Napoleon Hill and all the old stuff. But there was this one thing about, because in life so many things go wrong and with relationships and business and stuff like that. And he said, what's the one message you like to give people? And I said, well, if you can't, something happens, and if you can't accept it and you can't change it, leave it, because that's what life is all about. And we don't know about these great people and how they got to where they are, whether it was lucky or birthright or things like that. Like, people talk about Elon Musk and all the money he has. Well, how the hell did he get there? From what I understand, he wasn't given the money, and he came out of college in debt.
And by the way, he just did an interview where there was a question asked of him about his, everybody wants to be him because he's rich. And he says, nobody wants to be me.
I sent my adoption papers in. I want to become, Jim Musk.
I mean, being his, what do you call it? When you're one of his offspring, or being part of that, that's one thing. Being him, he says, nobody wants to be me. He says, what goes on in my mind, I can't control it. He goes, I'm constantly thinking of stuff all the time, and I can't stop.
Yeah.
He says, it's not a nice place to be.
Have you ever noticed when he's having an interview, most people like you and I, we're talking over each other, we're talking fast, we're responding quickly. It's almost like we don't even hear the other guy. But with him, you ask him a question and you could count down 30 seconds
before he talks.
Says anything.
Yeah.
It's like nobody does that.
Yeah. It's like it's going in his head, and he's trying to think of exactly what he should say and how he should say it, and let me say it the right way, and let me make sure that I've got all the information correct. And it's
almost like there's a computer in there, running and churning, and he's definitely over the top smart.
Well, that's what they say. Grass is always greener, and I believe that. I mean, that's why every time I see things about like envy is a sin. And I always try, and when I see somebody that I want to be, or somebody's doing stuff that I feel that, well, how come I can't do that? Or I try to stop myself right away. And it's like, I'm just glad I'm me. If you can't love yourself, basically is what I'm saying, then what else is there? I mean, you have to love yourself more than anything, because again, that's great proof right there. Of if you become Elon Musk and you get into his brain and the way it works, you'll probably right away be like, holy shit, I don't like this. I don't like this. Let me get out of here. Oh, too late. You wanted to be him.
I'll give you a story from when I was 7 years old. True story. I grew up with basically no money, and we were on food stamps and relief. In those days, they call it relief, and we'd get food we'd have to go to the Rialto Theater, which is a movie theater, every week to get a big block of cheese and boxes of powdered milk. because
Wow.
the government basically fed us. We didn't have any money. And so the one day I had a friend that was right across the street. I'm 7. And the friend across the street had a toy. Toys, you couldn't afford to have toys. So the friend had a toy. So when I came home, because I was raised by my grandparents, and I was upset because my friend had this toy and I wanted the toy. And my grandmother grabbed me by the collar and she shook me. And I want you to remember this the rest of your life. The man cried because he had no shoes until he saw a man that had no feet. And that stuck with me all these years. I'm way beyond 7. And that's when I learned, I never forgot it.
Yeah.
And for that reason, for the rest of my life, I never complained about anything.
That's it.
And I just went out and did what I had to do and got where I had to get. Yeah, granted, I sometimes met the right people, and they helped me along, because we all got to get a break.
Oh yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
I was in my early 20s, and I was living in Philadelphia, and I wanted to go into my own business. And I had no money. I had a job, but I didn't have any money. So I went to the bank and I told the banker, his name was Jerry Balka, Balka. Never forget this. And I told him my story, and he said, "I like you, kid." He said, "How much do you need?" I said, $15,000. I need to buy this Willys Jeep with the plow on it. And didn't he get me the money? I had no money. Why he gave me the money, I have no idea. But he liked me. Now it's only 15,000, and I don't know who that
still, that's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. So he gives me the money. I buy the Jeep, and I have all these contracts with these little apartment buildings and shopping centers. So when it snows, I would get. Doesn't it not snow that year? But so I ended up not making any money, having selling the Jeep, and paid the bank back. I mean, that was a break. He trusted me. So along the way, you got to get some breaks.
Yeah.
Even though that particular thing didn't work, it showed me that people can be very important in your life and your growth. And along the way, people need breaks. They need to have some luck.
That's right.
And, you know,
not everybody can do it, not just on your own, but without any luck or without.
That's right. It's hard. I mean,
you got to be smart and lucky. And that's why you hear a lot of people saying in life, I'd rather be lucky than smart sometimes.
And the biggest thing is your health. You got to stay healthy for a long time. You know, if you're not fighting all kinds of illnesses and blindness, and so yeah.
Oh, it's amazing how much since like even COVID, and I'm not like a germaphobe or anything like that. And I'm not like somebody who always thinks they're going to get sick. I'm the complete opposite. I hardly ever get sick. I think positive. I think when people are hypochondriacs and all that stuff. So ever since COVID, though, like anytime I'll get like if there are packages that I have to unpack from the store. As soon as they're done unpacking, the first thing I do is go to the sink and I wash my hands with soap. Anything that comes into my house, because I don't go out very often. I mean, I'm always working in my house, in my studio. Anytime anything comes into my house from the outside, I wash, because I can't get sick. Because I was sick the last time I was sick was around COVID, but I was also sick of the weekend of the Super Bowl. It was the last time I was sick pre-COVID of any kind in the last 10 years. And it was only for 24, 48 hours I was sick, but it was on the day of the Super Bowl, the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl. And I could hardly even watch it. I was so sick. But the point is that that's what I started doing myself, is that I have, like you said, you have to be healthy. You have to take care of yourself. Like if I go outside, even for 5 minutes, if it's cold, I'll put on stuff. I never used to do that when I was younger. You know, when you're younger, you think you're strong and I don't need to put on the big jackets. And I do all that stuff now because I know if I get sick, there's no one else to take care of me. You know, I have to make my own money. I have to be able to support myself. So
It's a harsh, we live in capitalist society, but it is
Yep,
it's a harsh capitalism where,
it is.
you go to LA. I mean, LA's got a lot of homeless people, and not all those people are what you would call losers. Some of them were really successful in life, and they ran into some bad luck, and all of a sudden they lost everything. I mean, you just went through 2 hurricanes, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
And that town that you live in got devastated.
Yeah.
That's just bad luck.
It's awful.
Nobody's fault that happened, but some people lost everything, and some may never recover.
Yep.
And others will, but there's a lot of them that won't.
And a lot of times the ones that won't don't have the support. They don't
Correct.
have like family to turn to or any of that. They're on their own, completely on their own.
No, it's a rough world. It's we don't live in a socialist society where the government takes care of every need. We have some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, but
there's only a point.
It's a harsh world. You got to be lucky. You got to be lucky. You got to be lucky, and you got to be lucky and over and over and over again. And you got to stay healthy. If you
The
can
American dream. That's the thing.
I
American dream ain't so dreamy. Once you first come here, a lot of these immigrants, they come here and they don't realize, hey man, you got to work for it. I mean,
I had dinner the other night with a young lady and her boyfriend, and he's from South Africa. And fortunately, he was able to get asylum because they wanted to kill his father because he was a military man. So they had a hit out on the entire family. They were going to kill
somebody that actually really needed asylum.
He got approved to go to several different countries, him and his family, and they chose America. And so he's been here, and he's doing very well, by the way. He's very, very, very intelligent. But if the government would have got a hold of him, they would have killed all the family. Like there's like 12 of them, because he was in the military and he was on the wrong side of the fence, and they had
how long ago was this?
On the whole family.
Was this a recent thing, or did this happen years ago when he was younger?
It's probably 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's 45 now, and I think he might have been a teenager when it actually happened. So probably even more than 25. A very interesting story. Made great dinner conversation, believe me. I mean, things that we never, ever even think of.
Yeah, take for granted.
Oh my God, if they would have caught you, your whole family would have been wiped out.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, we don't realize what it's like out there.
Nope.
So when people knock America, I mean, I know we have our problems, and whether you're right or left or red or blue, this is still a great country, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we are not perfect. We will never be perfect. And but it's. I think as Americans we should appreciate what we have, whether you like everything or not. I've been to 24 different countries. I have filled up 10 passports.
Wow.
And believe me when I tell you, some of these autocratic countries, which are basically dictatorships, are not fun to live in. Believe me. And I've been to a lot of them. And
it still goes on.
I mean, Canada's a great country. Switzerland's a great country. Sweden's a great country.
Sure.
Australia's a great country. New Zealand's there's a lot of great countries, but there's a lot of really bad ones.
Yes.
So
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of right. That's why when people say things about reincarnation, I'm like, I hope that's not the case in my mind. It's like I want to go somewhere else, like some other existence. I don't want to come back here and go through it again.
If I'm reincarnated, I just want to come back as one of my dogs.
Okay. A 15-year lifespan.
They do good.
That's not a bad idea, as long as you get the right home, though.
Well, that's what I said. I want to come back as one of
your dogs. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, specifically. Okay. All right, so that's going to wrap it up here. We are going to return on Fridays with the NFL playoff seasons kicking off on Saturdays next week. So Jim and I will give our NFL sneak peek videos on Fridays. We'll be back on Wednesday of this week. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday for our Playbook ATS podcast. We're expecting Mark back. We're expecting Victor back. We're expecting a full house for the first time in a while. So hopefully that's the case. So look for our video on Wednesday. Worst case scenario, it'll be Thursday, but we certainly hope it's Wednesday. I know Jim hopes it's Wednesday. He's got his pizza show going on Thursdays, and he doesn't want to have two shows in the same day anymore. Two long shows.
That was quite where Andy and I were to meet at this location, and they're supposed to open the doors, and we're supposed to go inside and do the podcast. Well, we get there, and we're banging on the door, and nobody's opening the door. I said to Andy, I said, well, I got my iPad and we can sit in the car, and we did the thing from it worked, and we got the information. But
that's the technology today.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
Well, not all the iPads have cell service. Mine does. You pay a little extra for that, but I was able to hook to the cell service because there's no internet there in a parking lot. So. And it worked, and at least we got to do it.
That's it.
But it just shows you that, my God, the technology is amazing.
And we'll be talking about college basketball as well real soon. Not sure when we're going to start, but once we start, we won't finish until the Final Four in April. So we're going to have to come up with a date sometime in the next week or two when we're going to start talking college hoops, but it's coming real soon. So look out for that. Jim, appreciate it as always. And you and I will talk again on Monday when we recap the final week of the NFL regular season, and then also maybe update because we're going to be doing it in the afternoon. So we'll have an opportunity to update a lot of the big stories coming up for Black Monday as well.
Okay. Send me the time to confirm the actual time. Okay.
Should be the same time, 1:00 your time, but
okay.
I'll confirm with you on Monday.
Okay, buddy. Have
Thanks,
a good
Jim.
one.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.